Meet sailing yacht Avanti and her crew, Gerard and Jacqueline. We left Cape Town in December 2021 on our floating home, heading west on an adventure of a lifetime around the world.
In the last episode, we sailed to Medana Bay Marina, which is the only official port of entry in Lombok Island.
So we all set for immigration and customs to come so that they can clear us out. It does take a little bit of a while. So after that, we are set and ready to go tomorrow morning.
The passage from Medana Bay Marina to Cocos Keeling Island is about 1,200 nautical miles, and we expect to sail about 8.5 days. The weather shows a little bit of a lull to the north of Christmas Island, so we won't be passing close to Christmas Island. In fact, we'll sail about 100 miles south of Christmas Island to make sure we're out of this lull and to have constant wind all the way to Cocos Keeling. The trade winds have really set in, and you can see on the image the southeast winds are blowing strong and consistent as long as you stay a little bit south. We expect 15 to 20 knots all the way with some light passing rain and maybe a squall or two. The swell is going to be a little bit uncomfortable, mostly coming from the south at up to 3 meters at 10-second intervals.
Arno at the marina helped arrange our clearance, and in a few hours and 15 officials later, we were cleared out and ready to go. Good morning! It's time to go! How do you know we're a little bit nervous about starting an ocean crossing after a few months standing still? Gerard's busy with all sorts of little jobs, not sitting still for a second, and I've been cooking since 5 o'clock this morning.
We are busy transiting the Lombok Strait with the current at the moment, and there's quite a lot of shipping traffic around us. These big ships are probably from Australia going to the Malacca Straits.
We're more than a little bit rusty, but the sails are up and we're sailing at 10 knots at the moment, 9.5 at sometimes. Boat speed is around 5.5, but we've still got current pushing us out the Lombok Strait. Got a little bit of traffic still, but all in all, making good speed.
The swell is quite steep, and we're trying to get a little bit south because there's a lull forecasted close to Indonesia in the next few days. So we are beating a little bit into weather, and with the current, the wind over current, it's making quite uncomfortable conditions. and it's our first day, so Jackie's not a happy camper.
Uncomfortable and I'm feeling a little bit seasick. Feels like we're in a tumble dryer. The waves just can't decide where they're coming from. But luckily we're going around 10 knots at some points, so at least we're going through this quick. First sunset dinner is a tempeh bolognese with all sorts of mushrooms and veggies to make sure we get in some good vitamins.
Yeah, Jackie cooked for 2 nights and we're glad, because it would have been a pain to cook when we just came out of the strait. It was quite boisterous. But yeah, we're sailing now with 2 reefs in the main and the full Genoa. And we have wind just in front of the beam, so we are doing about 6.5 knots boat speed, and we still have about 1.5 to 2 knots of current with us, so we're doing close to 8 knots, which is great, and the sea state is much better. So yeah, we'll see how the first night goes. It's been a while. It's going to be a tough one. It's day 2 of the passage to Cocos Keeling. The first day we really made good ground. We had wind on the beam and we had a very strong current, so I think we did just under 200 nautical miles over the first 24 hours. Today not so good. I lost my floppy round hat. It fell off into the water, so I'm very disappointed. The wind blew it off. And yeah, the wind is quite light. The forecast is supposed to be 20 knots, but we only have about 12 to 14 knots. So we're about to pole out the Genoa and sail wing on wing.
With the first set of grey clouds pulling in, we expect this to be our first squall, but luckily it just blew over with a little bit of wind increase, but not as much. By day 4, it feels like we never stopped sailing. We're into our old routine, with me looking for squeaky sounds and spraying WD-40, and Jacqueline preparing meals for dinner time.
This one is a bit better today. It's very grey outside and cloudy, but at least the swell intervals are a bit longer. So we're cooking up a nice mushroom and bok choy risotto. one pot meal as far as possible to make the cleaning a bit easier.
I'm glad we got those fresh mushrooms and lots of them.
Cooking on a monohull should be an Olympic sport, and I think I do quite well. It's so hot down there, but when we have a good meal after a long day and it's bumpy and rolly, it really is satisfying.
We sometimes have booby birds looking for a ride, and we don't mind if they come and sit on the solar panels to take a rest. But if they try and sit on the masthead where our wind instrument is located, we have to try and chase them away.
It's about 2 a.m. in the morning of day 4 on the passage to Cocos, and the prediction said there was going to be a little bit of a spike in the wind, but about like 12 o'clock we saw some very dark clouds and we've been hit by 2 squalls. The one kind of just sideswiped us, the other one was quite a big squall, and it was 30 knots for quite a while, consistent, not really gusty but just blowing 30 knots, so we just reduced. So luckily we put down the main earlier the night because the wind picked up to like 25 knots or so. So yeah, hopefully this is the last ones before the sun rises.
What a bit of a busy night. The storm started at about midnight and we thought it was just a squall, but around 2 Gerard spoke to, and around 6 we were still in high winds. We gusted up to 35 and stayed consistent for about 33 for quite a bit. We had lots of rain and not a lot of swell, at least. Well, it was 4-meter swells, but we've had bigger in the Atlantic, so surprisingly the swell didn't go that big.
Join us next episode as we sail into the beautiful Cocos Keeling Islands. Thank you to our Patreons for contributing to the making of these videos. A special thank you to Ramon and Des for the weather updates along the way.